Hi guys, James's Car Craze here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am with the all-new, all-electric BMW i5. It's the latest in the BMW i range, i meaning all-electric. What we're looking at here is basically the electric 5 Series. We'll go for the usual stuff today, guys. We'll go around the exterior tour and then we'll move right into the interior. There's a lot of tech on this car, so a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's get on with the exterior tour. Starting off with the usual angle we approach, we begin with the headlights. This is the BMW LED system. As you can see there, a nice cluster. You've got your turning, sorry, that's just my key that's telling me I've got too far away from the car and it's locked itself. You've got your turning lamp there, so when you turn the wheel left or right, this lamp here will illuminate and it will give you some luminance to your left and right. Handy if you're approaching a junction, you might, if there's people coming the other way. This car has the adaptive LED system, basically BMW's way of saying matrix headlights. So if you've watched one of the videos, you'll know what they are. If you haven't seen my other videos yet, matrix headlights basically means that using algorithms and a camera that's in the top where the mirror is, those camera systems there, they monitor the road, they know where the cars are, they know where the lights are, and it will blank out part of the full beam, meaning that you can keep your full beams on, maximizing visibility, but in a way that you're not going to dazzle oncoming drivers. It's a very handy feature to have, and if you do a lot of night driving, I recommend speccing these lights. BMW have got their laser headlights as well, which is another step up. This particular one doesn't have it, but laser headlights mean that the low beams and the high beams just give you that extra range as well. Perfect for nighttime driving. Some nice black areas on the car which really stand out no matter what colour you've got it in. This one's not quite black, it's a very, very dark grey, 50 shades of grey in the BMW lineup. Nice grey front grille, you've got your i badging. Obviously this is the i5. That's your front camera. This has a 360-degree parking camera system on here, which is very intelligent. These two flaps here also open when you need to, when the car needs some extra cooling for the battery and the electric motors. And then down here, got some more vents and gloss black on there, which looks very nice indeed. Obviously, because this is an electric car, you don't need an actual grille that goes through, so that's just for decorative purposes, but it looks really, really good. Being a 5 Series, you've got quite a long bonnet on this one. Going down to the wheels, these particular wheels are the upgraded 21 inch wheels, but the standard car you'll get 19s. You've got big calipers on there, I believe they are the 6-piston calipers. This is the M40 model, so you get a lot of the M badging as well. It's not the M i5, that's a different car. But like any other BMWs, you do get an M, basically an M line, so you get some extra M styling in a much more, if it's a petrol car, cheaper to run package. Obviously this being electric, you still get good electrifying performance. M, that's just what it says on there. Moving back, we've got some nice, this has got some carbon on it, so you've got carbon door wing mirrors on there, which is very nice. Excuse all the writing on the car, this is a dealership demo car. On the back as well, you've got your red M calipers, they're just your standard, I think they're your standard twin pot on there. If you forget what BMW you're in, you've got a nice 5 there telling you that you are in the 5 Series. At the back you've got a nice carbon fibre mini boot spoiler, that is an option. i5 on the back, your i5 badging, your nice LED light clusters, eDrive 40, telling you what we're in. If you go underneath, you've got your diffuser, what's designed like a diffuser, quite a nice decent ride height as well. And then, as I always say, the cars are the same on the other side. Moving in, we've got the charger. I think it's because the car's locked itself, but in there you'll get your charger, which you can use AC and DC for your fast charging. And there we go, guys, that's the quick exterior tour of the car. Let's get right in to the interior. Righty guys, so we're now in the interior. Going to start off with the digital driver's cluster and the steering wheel first, as always. Just apologies guys that there is a little bit of a reflection on these screens. I think it's still because it's still got the manufacturer's screen protector on, which I've been told not to remove on this demo car. So I do apologise. Hopefully we'll still be able to see a lot of what we need to see today. So starting off with the digital driver's cluster, at the moment the ignition's off, so that's the screen that greets you when you're inside of the car. We're going to go ahead and turn the car on. Obviously being an electric car, there's no engine noise as such, but you do get a little electronic sort of welcome. I don't quite know how to describe it, but we'll put our foot on the brake and then we'll press the start button. Don't know if you heard that, it was sort of a weird electric-y noise just to tell you that the car is now on. So the car is live. I'm going to go through what's on here. So on the left, we'll just do it so it zooms in there. We've got auto hold. This car, you can manually select the handbrake or you can put it into auto hold. So when you come to a stop, the car will hold itself. Makes it easy for hill starts as well. The little green symbol there, that is to show you that at the moment the side lights are on. The car is on its automatic lighting mode down there, so it's decided that it's not quite dark enough for dip beam, but of course it keeps its daytime running lights on. This side of the screen here is your miles an hour, and quite a nice sort of sideways V-shaped design. As you go up the mile an hour range, this bit here will start to fill, tells you your miles an hour, but of course obviously you've got the digital readout there, which makes it a lot easier as well. In the middle we've got your map display. You can customize what this display shows you, and we'll get into that bit in just a moment. Bottom again, on the very left, it tells you your battery percentage. At the moment I've got a 57% range remaining. Your little clock down there, that little 60 symbol, that's your traffic sign recognition. So in the top there, that we saw in the exterior tour, there is a camera system monitoring the road ahead. When it detects a speed limit change, that will display what the speed limit is in there. The last speed limit sign I went through said 60 miles an hour, which is why it's now saying 60 miles an hour down there. Very bottom there, you'll see a little car symbol and what looks like a little person with their seatbelt on. So it's telling me that at the moment I'm not wearing my seatbelt. So there's a little, I can zoom in a little bit more. You can see there's a little red square in there, which is telling me that there's someone in the driver's seat who hasn't got their seatbelt on. The remaining white squares there are just telling me that there's no occupants in the vehicle. Obviously, if there were occupants in the vehicle and they weren't wearing their seatbelts, that would turn red as well. When they are wearing their seatbelts, that all goes green. Let's zoom out again. On the right, you also now have your power gauge. At the moment it says ready because it means it's in its ready mode. As you go up the power range, equivalent to a rev counter, but of course this is electric, it tells you how much power you're actually sending to the wheels. So obviously it goes right up to 100%. Normally in everyday driving you'd barely go past 50. I mean, it's only when you floor this thing is when it goes right up to the maximum 100 range on there. The little blue bit there where it says adaptive, we'll just zoom in a little bit there, where it says adaptive, that's the regenerative braking. To activate that, we'll get down in a moment, you use the little drive select lever and you activate the regenerative braking mode. You can't change the amount of regenerative braking, it's preset, but it will start to slow the car down, and using the adaptive regen braking mode, it will actually bring you to near enough a stop, but of course you do still need to use your brakes and you still need to be alert. When you are under regenerative braking, this little, where it says ready, next ready there, that little white line, that will go downwards into the blue, which gives you the amount of regenerative braking that you're currently producing. Of course, that will then translate into power being sent back into the batteries. It's not going to fully recharge your car, but where otherwise you would be free rolling or freewheeling, you're capturing energy that would otherwise be lost. At the bottom there, 10.5, that's the temperature outside of the car. And then on the right down there, that's how many miles of range left. And of course, that depends on what driving modes you are in. That is everything for the standard screen. We're now going to go into the customization, and to do that we now have to turn our attentions to the steering wheel. It's a very nice steering wheel. It's BMW's latest steering wheel for their iCars. I like it. There's really good ergonomics. The steering is as light as anything. Really good. Obviously it's electric steering in this thing. So to go through the customization of that screen, we need to use this button here on the steering wheel, one that's got like a little cog inside the cluster. So we press that, and then as you can see there, it's gonna give us some settings to scroll through there. And to scroll through them, you use this slider left to right, up and down as well. So at the moment, let's go click on it again. We're on the map screen. If I scroll all the way up, so that top one there is a minimalist screen. That will only give you the miles an hour in there, which is quite nice if you want a minimalist approach. Scrolling down here, you've got your values since factory, so how many kilowatts of power per hour you're using. Don't quite know the equation to sort of translate that as to what the equivalent of miles per gallon would be, but that's quite nice. If you do know the maths, then that is quite a nice readout to have. Scroll down again. This is a nice little sort of graphic which tells you your different mileage of range depending on what sort of thing your car's doing. So whether you've got your heated seats on or your climate control. At the moment, it's telling me the maximum let's zoom in a bit more. The maximum I could possibly get out of this car in its current charging state is 195 miles. That is based on literally nothing on, headlights off, just pure car electric. 90 miles minimum. So that is based with everything on, like heated seats, or climate control, windscreen wipers, lights. That's the minimum I can do. And then 187 is around the average what I am in now. So it's quite nice. Gives you, you know, if you don't know how far you can get, that is quite a nice graphic there to have. Press the button again, we'll scroll down, we'll click that. That is your compass. When the map is up, that will give you some more directions on there, but in its current state, it is just a compass. Down again, as we've seen, that is your map. So you can have your map on the screen there, or you can have it directly in front of you, which I personally quite like, as you'll know from my other videos. Here you've got your G meter reading. So obviously when you go forwards, reverse, under braking, left and right, that center orange sort of circle you can see in the middle there, that will go up, down, left and right depending on your G's. You click that again. And then here is your media. So at the moment my phone is connected as a sort of an MP3. So it's giving me all my MP3 files in there. If you're listening to the radio, then you'll get radio choices in there, and you can scroll through the different radio stations. It's a DAB radio, which basically means you can, compared to FM radio, it's all auto-tuned. It will pick up pretty much nearly every radio station in your country. Obviously we're in the UK, so it will pick up probably 95% of all of the UK radio stations. That is it for the very central bit there. So I'm going to go take it, I'm going to put it back into map, because I quite like the map. Even though I know the area, having just a map, as just a basic map like that, gives you a little bit of forward planning, just so you can see the road layout ahead, which I quite like. There's another level of customization, so we're going to scroll to the middle bit. To do that, we'll move that to the right. If I go to the top, as you can see, you can have it as a very sort of squinched, pinched together mode, which is good if, depending on how you're sat. Obviously the idea is the steering wheel's been designed so you look through the steering wheel rather than above it. So this is really good if you want everything completely within that gap in the steering wheel, which you can see there. The way I sit on its maximum mode, I can still see all of it, so I have it in its maximum mode there. It gives you a wider map in the middle, and there's another mode there which is the more sporty mode. So rather than give you two ups and down sort of diagonal brackets. It just gives you the one slider up there, and it will also give you a power range all within one, let's call it a bar on there, and of course your speed still on the very left. I'm going to put it back to how I had it, which was the widened view. And then this car has a heads-up display. Actually, that's quite good. You can see that. As you can see there, it's currently in that particular mode. You've still got your miles an hour and your speed recognition on there. You can change this as to what you want sort of view there. Again, you press the button there. You're going to scroll over to heads-up display. We're going to start right at the top. So you might be able to, let's just move in again. So standard view is literally a minimalist approach. Any map information you'll get up there. At the moment, because we're not going anywhere, there's no information to display. Compass, you can have your compass up there rather than on the actual cluster itself. This is the sport display. So if I turn the wheel, you can see, there we go, that moves, which sort of tells you what direction the steering wheel is pointing, what way the wheels are pointing, which is pretty handy. Scroll through again, and that's just a different reduced view mode. I'm going to have it back on that one because I quite like that one. When we get to that settings, you can then change the leveling of that screen, obviously depending where you have the seat, or depending whether you have it up or down, if you have it sort of tinted a bit. That is everything to do with the heads-up display in the cluster. More on the steering wheel. So again, as we've sort of seen, you have these little two buttons here which can control what you're seeing on your screen. These ups and downs here, you can also move, select different tracks. It's also basically your volume controls as well, which I shall just turn the volume down actually because there's still music playing. There we go. This button here will allow you to answer and hang up your calls. Obviously when your phone's connected, you'll get the Bluetooth system on there. And then this button here is your BMW voice control. So you can either do that just by pressing the button and telling the car to do something, or you can just say, hey BMW, and normally, that's good, it hasn't done it this time. When I did this earlier, I said, hey BMW, and it said, how can I help? I've turned it off so I can do the video, so I can say, hey BMW. And then that's just a completely hands-free experience. On the left, you have your cruise control and your speed limiter. On this particular test car, this does not have adaptive cruise control, although it is an optional extra which you can choose. So go through the different modes. So you've got mode there, which will let you oh hang on, you've got to press the little, what you can see, what looks like a little dial mode there. So you press that, activates the limiter, and then you've got, I'll zoom in, press the mode button, and then you can select whether you want your speed limiter or you want your cruise control. Cruise control says it's not available because we're not moving, but if we are moving, you'd select that, and then you'd use the up and down here to then select how many miles an hour you want your cruise control. It's got a smart system cruise control, so it will still use the traffic sign recognition to pick up what speed limit is, and then it will adapt the cruise control automatically without you having to do anything, which is quite a handy feature. To activate the speed limiter, we're on speed limiter there. It will let me set the speed limiter because we are not moving, and then we just cycle up the range. As you can see, just zoom in again there, you can cycle up the range. When the speed limiter is active, it will go green. If you look on the very you can see where my reflection is on the left there, that you can see that little bar going up and up and up towards the 60 on there. So I'm gonna put it back to 30 on there and then cancel it so I don't actually end up driving off with the speed limiter. active. Steering wheel wise, that is basically it. Nice M on there. This is the M40 model. On here you've got a little sort of a lone, what would be a paddle shift button on a petrol or diesel car. Obviously we haven't got one on that side, so this is the boost function. So whatever mode you're in, you press the boost function and it will give you 10 seconds of maximum attack power. Handy if you want to overtake someone, or if you just want to show off with your friends, or just have a little bit of fun. It's an electric car, so even if you don't use boost, it's still got instant torque, instant power. You can safely overtake without using boost, but boost is just there if you want a little bit of confidence, especially in sport. If you're already in sport mode and then put boost, then that you've got the full-on maximum capability of what this car can do. Just to activate it, you're driving along, put it towards you once, it will say boost active on there, and then it'll give you a little countdown timer of how long that boost is active. It won't let you do it too many times in a row because you do drain your battery doing so. Again, it's just handy if you know, maybe if you want to overtake, I don't know, 3 or 4 vehicles in a row. That's a quite handy feature to have. And then, like any car, you do have stalks. So on the left you've got your indicators, obviously down for left, up for right, your flash on there. This has got the automatic lighting system, which I explained at the start of the video. That's all automatically active. On the right you've got your windscreen wash controls and your automatic wiper controls. The little green light there next to auto, that means that the auto wipers are engaged, so when it does start to rain, then the wipers will activate for you. And then, like in any car, you put it towards you to wash the windscreen. The windscreen washers are embedded in as part of the actual wiper. It's not jetted onto the screen, it's part of the actual wiper, which means you get a direct you get a direct sort of stream of water to the windscreen. It doesn't spray everywhere or get clogged up compared to jets, which you would have found on the bonnet. That is everything for the steering wheel and central driver's cluster there. We're going to go on and move to everything down here. Okay guys, so this is the middle infotainment screen. It's a nice large screen. It's also curved more towards the driver, which makes it very good compared to others which are just bang in the middle. It's fully touchscreen, but obviously being a BMW as well, you also have your iDrive, which is down here. So you've got your rotary knob and there's various buttons on there which you can operate. So we'll just go through a few basic things on the home page first, and then rather than use the touchscreen, because the touchscreen is pretty self-explanatory, we'll go through some of the buttons on the iDrive system just so you all guys know what they all do. And then for any buttons that aren't on here, we'll use the touchscreen. Start off with, this is, as I said, this is the page that greets you when you get into your car. This particular page is showing me my current live view of the car. So we'll just zoom in a little bit more. You currently see that my brake lights are on, that I'm in a black car. You can move all this around as well. So if I move it to the front, you can currently see that my daytime running lights are on. If I flash my front beams, there we go, you can see that the car flashes the beams on there as well, which is quite nice. So that gives you a live view of your car. I think if I open the door, does it? No, it shuts off if I do that. That's all right. Let's go back. Let's just turn the car on again. There we go. If the wheels are in motion, it will tell you that the wheels are in motion on there, and it times it to how fast you're going in real life as well, which is quite cool. It also gives you any, if you're braking under regenerative braking, it will give you a little graphic at the bottom telling you that you're putting energy back into the wheels. On the very, very bottom is your taskbar, as some like to call it. That stays there no matter what screen you're on. That's permanent, which is very good, and that obviously includes your climate control settings. On the very right, you've got your either your MP3, your media, or your radio state. And again, it's connected to my phone, so it's got my audio phone on there. And then that there is your sat nav input. And then right at the very top, that just gives you what your phone is connected to. If your phone's connected, you'll get this little bit just to tell you what your signal is, and etc., etc. on there. I'm going to start off with the climate control settings, and then we'll get on with the buttons down here, because a lot of what the buttons do there you can access through the iDrive system down there. So to go to the climate control settings, we go onto the fan there. At the moment it's all turned off because I was saving as much range as possible, but to turn it on you just press this little button here, and then you get your climate control screen there. At the moment it's in automatic mode. Now I've just turned it on with the air conditioning off. That is basically just pulling in air from the outside, whatever temperature it's in. If you want your air conditioning on, you then select the air conditioning button, and that will engage the air conditioning for the car. Obviously if you do use air conditioning, that will deplete the battery by a little bit, but if you use it cleverly, it doesn't make a huge difference. And then, like with any car with an analog dial, you can select different areas on here. So you've got max air conditioning if you want to defog your car, if you want to quickly cool it. Sync mode, so it's dual zone climate system. At the moment it's not synced, so you can have a different temperature for the passenger than what you can for the driver, and then you just select those right at the bottom there. Same with the driver, you can select that there. Fan speeds very low, you can have it very high as well, and as you can probably hear now by the audio, they are quite vicious. So I'm going to turn that down, just so we can actually hear. If I press this button here, that gives you your zone control in terms of where you want it on your body. So at the moment it's doing what I like to call all three zones. So it's doing the footwell, it's doing the upper torso, and it's doing the windscreen on there. To deactivate or activate any of these, just touch at the moment. So doing that, I've just deactivated the windscreen blast of air. And then your driver's side and your passenger side you can also control. So at the moment driver and passenger are both getting footwell and upper torso ventilation, but to deactivate it we could just press that. There we go, you're now just receiving upper torso, or if I turn those off, there we go, we're now only receiving footwell ventilation. I'm going to have it back on those, which is quite nice, just give that little bit of airflow. This helps keep you awake as well. There's a few other settings on the climate control screen, individual settings. So this here all ties in with the automatic mode of the climate, which will include things like your seat heating, and for the driver the steering wheel heating. If you put it on auto mode and you want the heated seats on, you can select the intensity of what you want the heated seat, which you do by sliding this variable slider here. You can have it off, very high. I'm going to have it medium. Seat heating distribution, so this is the bias towards how much of the heat you want on the bottom part of the seat, how much you want on the back. Obviously at the moment it's in the middle, so you get equal back and rear end heating. I personally don't like heated seats from the rear, I only like them on the back, so I'm going to have mine all the way to the back, but you can have it all the way to the rear end, you can have it in the middle. Select it exactly how you want. Heated steering wheel, again you can select the intensity, sort of how hot you want that. I quite like a heated steering wheel when it's cold enough, but otherwise I'll just have it off. This time of year we're slowly getting into the warmer seasons again, so I'm going to just have that off. Again, the heated seats and steering wheel will only come on if it's deemed cold enough to have those on. These really only come on actually when you precondition the car, which we'll come on to in just a sec. The settings I've just gone through we've just seen. This is for the passenger seat. We've just seen that. Preconditioning. So being electric car, most electric cars now, you can precondition the cabin. What that basically means is, say you're sitting on your armchair or your couch, and just before you leave you want to cool the car, you want to heat the car, you can go onto the BMW app, or in this case you can program it whilst inside the car. You can basically select different times of the day as to which you want, what temperatures you want. So say, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning before you go to work, it's really cold outside. So you set the car to be, I don't know, 21 degrees, heated seats on, heated steering wheel. When you get into the car, it's then all nice and toasty and warm before you haven't got to wait. Same if it was really hot outside, you want to cool the car. Obviously you don't want your heated seats and you don't want your heated steering wheel, so you can cool the car. It's the same principle. You can manually put it all on here, or you can do it on the BMW app. I recommend only doing this while the car is on charge, purely because you can do it when it's not on charge via the app, but it will use up a bit of range. And of course you don't want to use up all your range pre-conditioning a car, get in the car and then realise, oh, I've used all my range to get the car to L1. So just be very careful of that. Going back, we'll just press the back button there, or to go right back to the home screen, just press little home icon down here. There we go, that takes you to your home menu. That's the climate control. We'll just focus a little bit more down here on the iDrive system. So on the left, you've got your volume control on a little wheel. So you slide it away from you to turn the volume up, which you can hear now. Move it towards you, excuse me, and then that turns it down. To pause or mute the audio, just click it, and there we go, that's paused your audio. These buttons down here, so if your radio is connected, you can sweep between different radio stations, or if your MP3 is connected, you can switch between your tracks. If you hold down, either rewind or fast forward, you can fast forward a particular track, which is very good. You can't do that in a lot of other cars. On this one you can. This button here, My Modes, that will take you through your driving mode. So if I click that, that activates a screen on here. At the moment, I'm default into personal mode. Personal mode is pretty much, as it says, it gives a little bit of text header saying this is the balance settings and personal ambience. So this is, again, the Goldilocks setting for the car. Doesn't give you anything you don't need, doesn't give you too much power delivery, just a very comfortable ride. As I said, just basic out of the box package. You can select your own ambient lighting on this particular setting. We'll get on that in just a moment. Press that again. Settings, as you can see, it's start mode. This basically means that when the car starts, this is the mode of which it starts up with. Back to My Modes, or sorry, back to, there you go, so go to switch mode. Sport mode, of course, it's a BMW electric car, it has a sport mode. It does something pretty cool with the ambient light on this switch one. Let me just go back, because you didn't see that from the camera angle. So let's go back into personal mode. This car, so it's got a really nice ambient lighting system. It goes all the way there, all the way there, and all the way up there. It's unlike, I'd say it's the thickest, if that makes sense, the thickest like ambient lighting I've had in a car, test car so far, which I really like, and it's very, very clever. So at the moment, personal mode, I last had it in orange, but if I go onto sport mode, it goes red. If you look on the passenger side though, look, ooh, it goes blue, and now you've got the BMW M red and blue around the cabin, which is quite nice. But anyway, so you're on sport mode now, which gives you the sportiest experience. Go on to the settings on the bottom there. You can then select, like kind of most BMWs, how much of the car you want in sport mode, or how much you still want in comfort mode. When you're in sport mode though, obviously everything is in sport mode, but say, oh, I don't know, I only want sporty steering, then you just put everything in comfort. You can't do that on driving dynamics. You can only go sport, sport plus, or DSC off, which is basically traction control and stability control off, which I'm not going to do on this test car. I'm going to have it just sport normal. Let's put that to sport. And then sport steering wheel, it just changes the dynamics and the feel of the steering wheel on there. Once it's in sport mode, something which is quite cool, if you exit that whilst on sport mode, go back to your home screen, which I just did there, or press that button, just press the live view, press the car, and you get your sport gauges as well. On the left is your Newton meters of torque. This little one here, that is your kilowatts of power. On there is your revolutions per minute, so an actual rev gauge, which is quite good. And then that there is the temperature of your electric motors. At the moment it's at 42 degrees. You'd see it peak till about 60 odd on a hot day, and then it will just use all the cooling and the ventilation to keep that. Any higher, then you probably been a bit too heavy footed on the accelerator, but that is a good range to have there. But don't worry, if you do go all up to the red, it won't explode. Just back off, take it out of sport, put it back into normal mode, and you'll get that temperature down. Back onto the sport mode page. Efficient. So basically this is the eco mode, so this will reduce the power delivery, soften everything down, reduce the responsiveness of the throttle, which will give you as much range as possible. And on this particular screen, settings there, efficient climate control, so that will basically use the airflow coming in from outside more rather than the air conditioning and engaging the heating. Efficient visibility functions, so that's to do with all the screens there. That will give you basically, actually you can see there if I zoom in. Now we're on eco mode. The head-up display gives you this little if I go up, there we go, this little pyramid upside down diamond thing. When you accelerate, that little white bar goes up, and when you decelerate, it goes down. It just gives you a few little tips as well on when to lift off to maximize your driving on there. Let's go back on there. Go back to my modes. Activate maximum range. So this is we'll call it a get out of jail free card. If you realise, oh, I might have not have left as much miles at the moment, based on all the different factors, if I do activate maximum range, that will give me an extra, it's saying 31 miles of range, but it will reduce the car speed to 60 miles an hour, and it will also reduce some other functions, turn things off to get as much range as possible from the batteries. If we go back, I'm going to use the dial for the moment just to express that. Expressive mode, this is quite cool, and you get some really cool ambient lighting on this particular mode. So press expressive, and on the ambient lighting you get a mix of yellow, orange and blue, which is quite nice. Expressive, this doesn't necessarily do anything at all to the dynamics of the car. It basically puts it back into its just normal vanilla mode, as we're going to call it, but it does give you some nice graphics on the screen. It gives you some nice ambient lighting, and as you can see now, it gives you a different display on your digital drivers cluster, giving you a nice sort of a Milky Way university type graphic. I think that's the closest we could get there, and it gives you a nice different sort of your sporty view on there, which I quite like. Again, if you go onto settings, if you want it to start in this mode when you turn it on, just press start mode, and then when you turn the car on again, it will start in expressive mode. Relaxing mode, so this one, it does a little bit of tuning to the dynamics of the car. This will again soften things up, changes the ambient lighting to suit, gives you a slight little change to the graphics there. Again, just gives you a really soft, comfortable experience. Make sure that everything's in its softest settings, and away you go. Again, settings, there's no other, the only additional setting in there is the climate control. When you put it into relax mode, the automatic air conditioning or the automatic climate comes on, and it will make sure it's set perfectly so you get a nice, relaxing, comfortable drive, comfortable feel, and a comfortable climate. It will go back. And then the last one is digital art. This one doesn't do anything to the driving dynamics of the car. It just gives you some nice purple ambient lighting there. It gives you some nice graphics both on the both on the digital drivers cluster and on the screen there. What we saw where was it? Digital art. If I press that, you may hear that. That's now giving me basically an inspirational speech, which the car's been programmed with. I'll end that. I've listened to it. It's basically, it is just an inspirational what BMW have done with the car. It's the voice. It's a German/Asian mix, but it's understandable in the English language. That is everything for your driving modes. I'm going to put it back for now. I'm going to put it into efficient mode for now. No, I'm not. I'm going to put it in expressive mode because I really like that ambient lighting. We'll go back. Down here, we press this little button, and this gives you some more driving settings with regards to driver assistance systems, your drivetrain and chassis, and charging information. So starting with driver assistance, safety and warnings. There we go. Front collision warning. So this last little graphic here shows it quite well. This will tell you if you're getting too close to the car in front. You'll get various warnings on the systems here. This setting here basically says how soon or how late you want that warning. Preferably the earlier the better. It's default to minimum. I'm going to put it into early mode though, because I want as much time as possible to react. It's handy if the car in front of you brakes all of a sudden. It just gives you that extra bit of warning. In an emergency situation, the car, as best as it can, will brake as well for you, but only at the last minute if it needs to avoid a collision. Lane departure warning. So this here will give you some feedback. It will also keep an eye using the cameras and the radar. Make sure that if you're going to pull out, you're not going to pull out in front of someone. That combines the little orange, I'll do it on this one, little orange triangles on there that will light up if there's someone in your blind spot or if you're about to crash into someone. It will also give you some feedback in the steering wheel to make sure you don't all veer off. Expanded, just make sure it's in maximum basically maximum range. In dangerous, oh no, cancel. In dangerous situations, so warning with steering intervention if risk of collision detected when leaving lane above 40 miles an hour. Does what it says on the tin. I'm going to have it on expanded because that is the full package. Lane check, we've done that one. Warning when turning. So if you're turning around, again, that just makes sure that all the radars, making sure you don't crash into anything. Exit warning. That again is just if you're exiting a road and you're coming to a junction, just gives you a little bit more warning on there. Attentiveness assistance. So it displays a warning if the driver shows sign of attentiveness and shows a choice of places to stop and take a break in case of fatigue. Basically, this car will monitor you, and if it thinks that you're drowsy, or if it thinks that you're not as responsive, the car will alert you. It'll give you a few recommendations to where to stop if you need a break. It's in standard mode, which is what it's default with, although you can have it off or you can increase how sensitive it is. Just a nice little feature there, especially if you're doing long distances. Driving while tired kills, what they always say. Speed warning. So this car will alert you if you're going above a certain speed. So at the moment it's on 0 miles an hour. Adopt current speed. There you go. So if you're going above a certain set speed, it will warn you. That ties in with the automatic traffic sign speed limit recognition. Warning for speed limits. Here we go. This is basically what I've just said. Here you can adjust the threshold of which things alert you at. So at the moment, for example, if I'm driving along at 60 miles an hour if I drive with that current setting, if I drive at 61 miles an hour, I will get a bonged at saying slow down, slow down. If I want to drive at 61 for whatever reason, I can select the bias. There we go. So if I'm driving at 61 miles an hour, I won't get bonged at. If I drive at 62 miles an hour, I will get bonged at. We do not want that. And then here you can just add some more different settings there. So you've got a first and a second adjustment, basically for your two common speeds. In the UK, two common speeds are 30 miles an hour and 60 miles an hour, or 70 miles an hour. Probably 30 and 70 are pretty common. And then here is just your warning when speeding. So warning when speeding does what it says on the tin, and that is an acoustic. That is an acoustic warning. Sound when the limit changes. So when it detects the speed limit change, you'll get a notification as well, and a bong to say that is about to change. Parking assistance. So drive off monitoring. So let's go all the way up. So park assist. So basically this car will park itself for you using various algorithms in the car. So when you're in the park assist mode, it will sound when a space is available, and then it will show you some assistance information when you are in close to space. We'll go through all that in a moment when we actually press the button to engage the system. Crossing traffic warnings. So if you're reversing out of a space, and it's quite hard, this car is pretty long, it is quite hard to see who's coming out. By the time you've reversed out enough to see what's coming left and right, nearly half the car is backed out already. That just gives you some warning using the rear camera and the rear radars to make sure that it will warn you if there's pedestrians or traffic coming from either way. Brake intervention at rear, that will brake the car if it thinks that you've not responded. Park distance control, so automatic PDC activation. Park distance control, that's a feature on the parking sensors. It tells you exactly how close to an obstacle you are. If you're quite far away, it will detect the obstacle and it will show it as green. If you're near it, it will go orangey amber, and if you're right up against it, it will go red. If you're even beyond that, the car will brake. Signal volume, that is basically the volume of the warning that it will give you. Active PDC emergency braking. Yeah, so that is basically what I've just said, when the car brakes itself for you if it thinks you're going to crash into pedestrians or a car. Stop doing that. Drive off monitoring. So the speed limit when driving off in an obstacle is detected in a way. Yeah, so drive off monitoring will just give you some extra information when you are driving off. Make sure you're not going to, move out in front of someone, or vice versa. GPS based panoramic view. So that will give you a panoramic view of the car based on GPS and sort of the algorithms of the car. Going down. The camera picture. So when you're in the camera reversing mode, we'll get to that in just a second. Parking guidelines. So that's when you turn the wheel. It keeps you within. It's easier to show you on the visual rather than trying to explain it. So we'll get on that in just a moment. Driving. This one, there's not really a lot of settings. That one, apart from notifications. You will receive notifications on operating feedback. Basically, the degree of notifications you want on that one, really. Feedback via steering wheel. So yeah, if you're swerving away from your lane, vibration intensity, the steering wheel will vibrate in these bits here to alert you that you are either about to crash into something or you're veering away from your lane. Drivetrain and chassis. Here we go. So we scroll up. Energy recovery in in drive mode. So this is your regenerative braking when it's automatically tied in to your drive mode. So adaptive will mean that, well, basically that intelligent adjustment of braking effect through energy recovery when lifting off the accelerator. So even if you haven't forcefully turned on regenerative braking, it will still give you a degree of regenerative braking. So for example, you've got the cruise control on, but you're going downhill. Rather than actually brake the car using the car brakes, it will automatically engage a degree of regenerative braking to slow you down, but put energy back into the batteries. And then high, moderate and low is to then forcefully say how much of that power you want or how much you don't. In adaptive mode, it will use things like the GPS location to decide on when to activate that. Another example is if you're on a motorway or an A road and you're about to approach quite a tight curve, rather than use the car brakes, it will use the regenerative braking to slow the car down so you don't go into that curve very, very fast, because of course you'll then oversteer, understeer, and that'll be a disaster. So that's quite a handy system to have there. Iconic sounds. So this is, I'm going to turn it off. Basically, that is the electronic sound which is pumped through the cabin via the speakers, depending on what drive mode you're in. Each drive mode has its own sound when you accelerate. I don't like any of them, to be honest, which is why I've turned it off. But when you turn it on, when you accelerate in different modes, it gives you an electric-y type sound that you get from a lot of electric cars these days. Chassis, so drive off support. So if it's if you're on a snow or mud or a very, very slippery surface, it will give you, when you activate this, it will give you some assistance to drive off without spinning the wheels. So like in a petrol or diesel car, they say, you know, if it's snow or icy, move off in a higher gear. Basically this, using algorithms and blah blah blah, it will enable you to move off smoothly without spinning up the wheels. Parking brake. So at the moment we're in automatic brake application, so auto hold is basically what that is saying on there. That's everything on there. Now we move on to the parking cameras, which is what I've just gone on earlier. So you press that button when you're in reverse, this setting automatically engages, but if you're in forwards and you want to forcefully engage it, press the button, and here we have the screens. Like I've said, these bits here, the red and the orange, that's detected the obstacle. So for example, right in front of me there's this light, which is just flashed while I pointed the camera up. That's detected it there. Means that I can't go any further ahead. These green lines are basically the width of the car. Gives you an idea, gives you an idea of how wide the car is, so you don't go into a space too narrow. On the right is your 360-degree panoramic view, which is very handy to get a bird's eye view of the car. Also handy if you want to park up against a curb. Just gives you the extra bit of visibility. On this screen you can select different parts of the car you've used. So at the moment we're on automatic, which at the moment is the front, although I can give you a rear view of the right hand side of the car. Gives you it uses AI and like a Google Earth data to provide almost like a 3D image. You've got another one there, and we put it on that one. At the moment it's on the it gives you a front view. If I go into reverse, there you go, it gives you the reverse view, and if I turn the wheel, those green lines move, and that basically tells me the track or the path of which the car will take when you're in motion. And that's the parking sensors just going off, so I'm going to stop that. Good thing when you do put it in reverse, if you look at that mirror there, when you put it in reverse, the mirror goes down so you can see what you're about to reverse into, which is good. So I'll put that back into park. Assist view, so this is all to do with your parking assist system. At the moment you can see it's search is permanently active below 22 miles an hour. So if you're driving, I know, in a supermarket car park and you want to see where the spaces are, the car will detect the space. It will come up with a little prompt down there, and then that will start the car parking itself. If I get time, I'll try and do a video of that. If you don't see a video of that in this video, it means I didn't get time to do it. Start reversing assistant. So at the moment I can't do it because it's not realistic to basically what it is. So reverse assistant, basically, for example, the space I'm in now, the car has learnt the path I took to get into that space, which is what this little white bit with the arrows are in here. The idea of this is if you reverse into a space but have no idea what angles you need to get out of it again, you press reverse assistant, and based on what the car has learnt to get into that space, it will then reverse out of the space. It only does it in reverse. It will reverse out the space in exactly the same path you got into it, which means you haven't got to worry about steering the car. It will steer for you. You have to brake and you have to accelerate, but it will steer the car for you, which is a very clever feature. I've tried it and I did do a video of it, and I will try and include that in this video right at the very end. It's a really good system. And there you can just see, look, it gives you another little bit of radar on there. It tells you what everything is happening. Panoramic view, that just gives you a wider view of what's happening at the back of the car. And then more car wash view. So there we go. So car wash view, make sure that you're in the tracks when you're in the car wash. Again, that will just give you a nice little view there. Camera cleaning, so this will clean the cameras on the front and rear. I'll click. There we go. So that's now cleaned the cameras on the front and the rear. And then settings, there we go. So that is basically what I've told you about these markings here. That is everything to do with the parking. I'm going to disengage or engage that. There we go. To go back, click the home button there. That will take you back to the screen. Up here, you've got your quick buttons to various settings of the car. So if you press navigation, that brings you up to the navigation page. It's a really nice navigation system to use, very clear. Gives you lane guidance as well, and a nice, if you have it on this screen, it's nice and large. If you don't want it on that screen, you can have it right in front of you on there. Let's go back. Telephone, that gives you all your phone information on there. And then media, as you can see there, it's connected to my MP3, so it gives you some more media information on there. And then just to go back, you press the little back button on there. It's now on my navigation screen. We're now going to go into the app screen of the car because there's no button down there for it. This is the screen of all of your applications on the car. So we'll go through. Some of them we've already been through. BMW ID. So this is your, I'll go because that's got some personal information on it, but that is basically your profile for the car, and the profile for the app that you can get for the car. Just means that you can log on to the car using a PIN, and then it will save all the settings. You can have different drivers as well, which is quite nice. Personal assistant, that's just some of the settings for the personal assistant, so the Hey BMW system. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So I think I've got, there we go, I've got an Android device, so if I click Android Auto I can launch Android Auto. I won't do that because it'll bring up some personal information, but it's got wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, which is very good. Connected Drive Store, so that is basically almost like an app store but for the features of the car, similar to Audi, where you can pay for options that weren't chosen on the car. For example, this one here, welcome light projection, isn't there? This is an option, so when you get into the car it gives you, using all the matrix lights, it will give you a nice little animation, let's say, when you get into the car. At the moment it could say you can give it a free trial, but it only works for the registered keeper, and I'm not the registered keeper. Or you can engage it all the time for £49, it says there. Traffic camera information, so that there will basically alerts you when there's enforcement cameras, which is quite good. Let's go. And then subscribed will give you all sorts of what you've actually subscribed to. Depending what spec of car you've got, you'll get a lot of this anyway. So that's all engaged on there. Passenger airbag, basically you'll just turn that on and off. Air console games. Now this is brilliant if you're on charge and you've got passengers. This has got some games preloaded, some of which are basically copies of very well-known games. Like here you've got a it's not Mario Kart, but for anyone that knows Mario Kart, that's similar to Mario Kart. They've got things like Angry Birds, but a fake equivalent. You scan your phone on that code, and then you use your phone as the controller, and then the screen is the game screen, which is very good. I won't go through it now, but if I can do a video, I'll include it. If not, I won't, because I think this is going to be quite a long video already, given how much tech there is on this car. Automotive habits. So won't go on to that too, because I think that's got some more personal information on it, which I can't show in this particular video. BMW Assistant. So if I load it, there you go. This will automatically call, once you press the button, BMW's accident or roadside assistance program, which can then log onto your car. They can see where you are and they can come and help you out. If you've subscribed to some extra BMW assistance, then they'll come and recover you in case of emergency. BMW messages, so there's any messages relating to the car, they'll pop up on there. Charging information. Right. AC charging limit. So AC is if you're using a home charger. It's set to 32 amps, although you can increase or decrease on there. It's off at the moment, just to make sure you don't blow up your home charging unit. Charging target, that is at, we'll put it to 100%, although you can have it charging to different percentages. Unlock charging cable, so that will unlock the cable from the port. Precondition battery, so if you're at a DC charger, the speed of which that your car charges will also depend on what temperature the battery is. Batteries like to be charged at around 30 degrees. And if it's frosty outside, of course it's not going to be 30 degrees outside. You press this and it will precondition it will warm up the battery to make sure that you get an efficient charge. If you charge it while it's low, of course it will charge, but it will take a little bit longer, and you might do a little bit of long-term damage if you're continuously using fast chargers, charging it whilst the battery is not at the optimum temperature. Plug and charge, so that's just your plug and play charging for ones that you don't need a subscription for. Fan loudness, so I don't get this feature. You can change how loud you want the cooling fan for when it's charging. I don't know how it does that, because surely if it's spinning really fast, it's loud. If it's spinning not very much, it's quiet, but you want it to cool it. So I'm not going to go into that because I don't know how it works. So I'm going to go back because we've gone through everything on there. Climate control, we've been through climate control. Country information, that's basically to select what country you're in. Displays. Here are your display settings for this display, that display, and the head-up display. Head-up display, you can select how bright it is, whether you want it up more, left more, right more. Instrument cluster, so here it will just, there you go. Basically this is a manual version of what I showed you right at the start, where you can select what screens that you want, so I won't go through that because we've already been through that. And then control display, again, that's just how bright you want it on there. Doors and windows, here we go, so you can open the tailgate, open the windows from the touchscreen, or you can use the buttons at the side. Drive recorder, so here you can basically use the camera systems on this car as a dash cam, but instead of just front, you get front, back and side, so you get a 360 degree dash cam, which is absolutely amazing. I haven't used it yet, but absolutely amazing. And obviously that will record the drive. This car has also got an interior camera facing the rear, which can also be used as part of the drive recorder. We'll get to that in just a second. Driving settings, they're the one we've already been through. Exterior lighting, so not currently available. Okay, yes, basically that is just saying that I'm currently in automatic lighting mode, which is why it doesn't let me go into that particular setting. Advanced setting, high beam assistant is the automatic high beam, which I spoke about at the start of the video. One touch indicator, so if you just tap the indicator, it will indicate 3 times. If you click it all the way down, it will indicate unlimited times, but you can select how many times you want that indicator to click, as it were. Welcome and goodbye, so that will that's basically the flash you get when you unlock and unlock the car. Home lights, so that is how long the exterior lights stay on, so you can see if you're on a driveway and you need to open your door, that just keeps the lights on so you can see what you're doing. Interior camera, wait for it, so there's a camera there, and that is now giving me a view of inside the car. Interior lighting, reading lights, so here you can control the interior lights using the panel, the little buttons up here, or you can use a touchscreen. So if I press that, all my lights have come on. Press it again, or you can manually turn on different lights in the car, which is quite good. Then on the right here is basically just how bright you want those lights. Self-explanatory, don't need to really go into that anymore. Ambient lighting, there we go. So at the moment, because I'm in a set drive mode, it's set the ambient lighting. You can't change it. To change the ambient lighting yourself, you need to go, we'll go into the My Modes. You need to be in personal mode, which does mean that you can only have the ambient lighting on if the car is in it's what I like to call the Goldilocks mode. So let's go back again. There you go. So now it will let me go into the ambient lighting menu. There's a few pre-selects, so ivory, which is very pale yellow, but it's got all the primary colours on there. So it's got a nice green, so your bar goes nice and green. You've got your cup holder lights. You've got some more lights at the back. There are some lights down there. You can just about see the green. I quite like the green, or you've got a nice turquoise, and then the whole the car goes turquoise. You've got some nice shades of blue, so that's a nice dark vivid blue. Or if you want, I don't know, if you're maybe a female driver and you want pink, although some males do also like pink, we're not excluding anyone there. Orange, I've had it in orange. I quite like the orange, actually. Really a really sort of energetic colour. I quite like the orange. And then you've got your corals and your different like flamingo colours. And then these settings here are basically just how bright you want those lights. Reduce for night driving. If you're driving at night, press that, and the ambient lighting does reduce a bit. Lighting effects. So the ambient lights will do different things depending on what you're doing. If you're let's say if you put the hazard lights on, watch what happens. There we go. So the ambient light's now flashing because I activated the hazard lights. It does it for different other things as well, like your welcome, incoming calls. It will change and do various bits and bobs, which is quite nice. Cockpit brightness. That's what it says on the tin. Keys, you can have different keys for different people and different things. Live vehicle, this is the live vehicle map. As you can see, if I tap the brakes, the brake lights come on. The lights are now on, but there we go, I can flash them. Even more, gives you your since factory miles and your kilowatts, which is quite nice. Messages, so your text messages come up on that app there. Mobile devices basically just tells you what mobile device is connected. My modes is what we've already seen already. We've got different drive modes. Navigation is what we've already seen. News, it won't work at the moment because I've not connected to a hotspot, but you can, like if you're stationary, you can go through various news articles. Same with news podcasts. Owner's handbook, so you do have a digital handbook on there. Rather than having to go into the glove box and get the manual one out, you can search for something and you can diagnose any problems that you might have using that. Parking, we've already been through that. Hotspot, that is if you've connected your phone. I can do it, but I haven't got it on at the moment. Use your phone as a hotspot, and then it will turn the car into a hotspot for your passengers. Radio, your DAB radio, again, it's a DAB radio, so you've got all those options on there. And audio source, you can change where that audio is coming from. Let's go back again. There we go. Spotify, so if you've got a Spotify subscription, you can log on to Spotify and have that as your main source. System settings, we'll come back to that in just a moment. YouTube, if you're connected to data or Wi-Fi, you can watch YouTube, handy if you're charging. Service partner is basically just gives you some information on where your service station is, how to get there, and their contact information. Weather, it's currently whatever it's doing now, 10 degrees and cloudy. Video, if you've got some video files saved on the phone, so you can save films to the car if you want to watch a film. It's quite nice. Vehicle status, so this is your tyre pressure monitoring. There you go, it gives you your tyre pressures. Unlike on other cars, it will show you the tyre pressures when the car is stationary. I think all the cars I've had on test so far, the car has to be in motion for it to then give you a readout. But on BMWs, it doesn't, which is quite handy. Check control, or there you go, brake fluid, oil, that's all fine. All come out of that. System settings. Here we go. So, do not disturb. That's not right. We'll start at the top. Date and time. Does what it says on the tin. Sets the date and time. Language, again, what language you're in. Voice control, we've done that. Units, so where you are in the world will depend whether you use metric or imperial. Here we've got pretty much pressure on, I prefer PSI, but there we go, torque, different units of measurement you have on there. Sound, this has a Bowers and Wilkins sound system, so that is basically your equalizer settings on there, which I have quite high, which is very good. Gesture control, so this is what I've mentioned pretty much at the start of the video. So just for a demonstration, if I turn my music up, actually no, I won't turn my music up, I'll use my hand gesture. So if you've just done something on the screen that can be operated by a hand gesture, for example, if I turn the volume up, it gives you a little sort of readout there. If I turn it down again, you'll see turning the volume up and down is something that can be done using hand gestures, and it does that quite cleverly. Up here there's a little sensor in there which points to the screen, and you do hand gestures. It doesn't do rude hand gestures, so we won't do that. But to turn the volume up, I point at the screen, I don't touch it, I point it, and I go in a clockwise direction. This is when it's not going to. It's worked every time, and it's not going to do it now because I'm recording it. Sod's law. There we go. And then I do it the other way. And it turns down. It depends on the light inside the car as well, which is probably it's slowly. I mean, we're slowly losing the sunlight now, which is probably why. But that is something that can be done with gesture control. If you want to skip songs, you do that. It did it that time. If you want to go back a song, you do it the other way. Other things can be done by hand gestures, but we won't go too much into that. Touchpad, so that is basically just your sort of your touch screen on there. Pop-up notifications, which link into that one quite nicely. Getting started, so that will give you sort of a checklist of what to do if you've just bought the car. Basically a checklist of things to do to set up the car. Remote software upgrade, so this does have over-the-air updates, which is very handy if you need to update the software of the car. Valet parking mode, so here if you're at a really posh hotel, they say, can we park your car for you, sir? Yes, you can. You can set a pin, you can lock the tailgate, so all they can do is drive the car and park it. They can't open the boot, they can't go into the settings on your car, which is quite handy. Do not disturb mutes any notifications coming on there. Hide private information, so again, if you're in valet mode, for example, hide private information, you can hide email addresses or phone numbers, which comes up on there, which is quite nice. Wireless charging, this does have a wireless charging tray, which is down here. You only get one for the driver, which is this bit here. The passenger doesn't get one for whatever reason, although they can charge using those bits there. We'll come to that in just a moment. It's a 15 watts charger, which is pretty much the ballpark for wireless charging. It doesn't fit a lot of the larger phones in decent sized cases. I've got a Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, quite a chunky case, does not fit, so I have to take the phone out of the case and it only just fits. So if you've got larger phones like a iPhone, any of the Pro Maxes or the Samsung Ultra phones, just be careful. You might have to carry a cable with you, especially if you've got a thick case on it, because it will not fit in that cradle. Data privacy, that's basically all the privacy settings that you get asked when you do anything these days. Update apps and services, so certain apps will need updates as well, like you've got apps on your phone or your tablet. You can update apps on there. I think, guys, just this little menu at the side here basically just then categorizes all of those apps into various categories there. So Now it's just showing me apps relevant to the infotainment system. There it's showing me apps only applicable for vehicle, so on and so on. We're finally there, like nearly an hour. We've covered all. I told you there was a lot of tech on this car. We're now going to go back. We're going to focus on sort of the central part of the car, the central middle dash, as we're going to call it. So here, the air vents are embedded in all of here, and you control them via these little bits under here. So up, down, left, right, which I think is quite good. If you want to turn the air vent off, you use the sliders on here. Rear screen heaters, obviously it's got a rear heated screen, so you press that, it turns red when it's on. Hazards, we've already done that, and as you can see the ambient lighting goes red. Max, when it works, there we go, max screen defrost. If I can turn it off, there we go. Wireless charging pads, we have done that. Cup holders, pretty nice, you get 2 of them, which will place its part on there. Here, we've already gone through the iDrive system. Your start-stop button, that's just there. Your reverse, neutral, and drive. So if I put my foot on the brake, you put it in reverse, it goes to reverse. Neutral, so if you need to roll it for any reason, you go into neutral. And then drive, you put it into drive. To force regen braking on, you press it down again, and then you'll see that little green bit goes into B, which is regenerative braking, which means that when you come off the throttle, it will slow down using regenerative braking. That P is the parking brake, so I shall pop that on. That shuts the parking sensors up. In the middle here, you've got a nice armrest. Press the little button. The hatch doors in there, which then gives you some nice sort of deep charging. That in there is your 12-volt socket. You don't get any actual charging sockets inside of there. They are down there, just there. They are fast charge on there. In the back of the car, business as usual. You get ambient lighting down there. You've got manual controls here for your rear climate control. And right at the very back, this car's very long, an armrest in there. Going back around here though, there we go, that's your passenger door. The ambient lighting that goes right around there, your Boas and Wilkins sort of grille for the door there. Moving around here, down here are your lighting controls. Again, it's in automatic mode, and your rear fog light, your light settings, and your vent control there. Lock and unlock the doors. And then down here you've got your rear child lock for the windows and doors. You've got your rear windows, front windows, left and right mirror controls, and that's the folding mirrors. Down there is your electronic boot. Press it, it opens. Hold it, it closes. And that, guys, oh, and then apart from up here, you got the SOS button. Press that, it will automatically call the emergency services for you. And then here are basically just all your there you go, your lighting controls on there. We'll go back, turn those off. Well guys, that is, I think we're there. We're finally there. There's a lot, I said, there's a lot on this car. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Obviously, the more subscribers, comments, and likes and engagement we have on this channel, the more cars that I can bring you. But for now, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy the video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again soon. Cheerio.